we're gonna get this beans girdle startly fitted here. I got the main caps on. We're gonna put the girdle on, and we'll torque it all down here. I'm just going to I'm gonna throw you guys into time lapse because I'm literally putting bolts in, so I don't really need to explain how to do that, I don't think.
So you can see I'm just getting all the studs in there, getting everything lubed up, finished torque, and then starting to check here.
Alright guys, so we got this thing all torqued on here now, and I've already checked the mains. You guys would have seen me doing it in the video, but we're right in the middle of spec, which is right where I wanted it to be. So we'll have a two, which I already knew because I've already measured it, but we'll have a between 2.5 thou oil clearance is where I wanted it to be anyway. So anyways, I'm gonna put you guys back on time lapse. We're gonna rip this back apart, give it a quick blow job, and then we're gonna set the crankshaft.
So we're just doing the opposite, pulling everything apart now, getting the all set up there, blow it out, and get the bearing set, and got the crankshaft set in there. And I'm going to put a layer of silicone on or case sealant on the beans girdle, and that's when I realized that I forgot to put the front timing case and the rear housing on. So now I'm kind of scrambling to get that done before the silicone start to set.
Hey guys, so I'm putting the, I got the thing all siliconed up. I realized that I didn't put the rear seal on and the timing case, got ahead of myself. But, so you need to, I'm putting a speedy sleeve on this one. It doesn't really have a lot of wear and it's not bad looking, but I'd rather have the speedy sleeve on there. So speedy sleeve, these ones are relatively heavy material compared for a speedy sleeve. And how I put them on is you literally just take a little dead blow and you just walk around it, put it on. And if you do look at, if you look at it before you put it on, there's a leading edge to it, which I'll show in a minute. Because I started it on there and then realized that I wasn't showing you guys. So you basically just pound it on there until you get it even. And then when you put your flywheel on or your flex plate, it'll seat it on the rest of the way for you. And then I guess you just take this over there quick. So then putting your rear seal in, this is pretty easy too. There again, you can actually what I'll do is I'll do it. So anyways, that's this is what I was talking about for the speedy sleeve. And if you look on that edge, there's a leading edge so that it'll go onto the crankshaft easier. So what I do with this is I tap this edge in first. These seals are pretty easy to put in. You just get it started in there and then put your sleeve or your installer on there and then just and that's as easy as it is. You just go until that, make sure that plate's touching all the way around when you put it in there, and then it's in. So, and then when you go over to, usually there's a little plastic installer piece. Like this in the seal, but there wasn't one in there. So what we're gonna have to do is improvise. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take a quick look, see if I can find one. I usually have a bunch, just don't know where there is one at the moment. If I can find one, we'll do it that way. If not, I'll show you a different way for doing it. All right, guys, so I got this all cleaned up. and I'll put a little tiny bit of silicone. Now you don't usually use these gaskets, but in this case you have to, because of the spacing for the bolts, and if you don't, they don't like to line up very well. So that's just to be forewarned on that one. And I just put a little tiny bit of case sealant on both sides just to make sure that that gasket doesn't move around. And then we'll put a little bit on the bottom here. Trying to watch the camera and run the silicone gun at the same time is not that easy. I'm not doing a very good job apparently. You want to make sure you get some in that edge too, in this edge right here, because if you don't, it'll leak. So just be forewarned. Same on the other side. And I couldn't find that tool that I was talking about, so what I did was I just took the other one, I split it in half, just because I'm kind of running out of time here for silicone setting. I don't want it to set on me. So basically all you're using that for is a guide, so that you can get the seal to go in without it rolling. All you do is just push her on, pull that out of the way, and then we need to get this stuff tightened up here before this silicone does set on me. There again, friend our Loctite. Dab will do you. These are not the original style bolts, and these are just the ones that I keep in stock for new ones. They're just a flanged bolt. There's nothing special about them. And you want to tighten these bolts up before you want to tighten these small ones up before you tighten the top ones, because you want to be very careful that you don't you keep the seal centered. So if you don't keep the seal centered, it will leak, and there's not much you can do about it until you pull all this back off, recenter, and put it back together again. For this instance, I'm going to use the torque wrench of choice for this job. And if you can hear if you listen really close, you can actually hear the click noise. Being that there's Loctite on there, these ones aren't, as long as you get them tight. I think the actual amount on them is 90 inch-pounds, but tight is good. Okay, so I'm going to throw you guys back on the time lapse. Basically all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put the studs back in, so you just run them in. You run them in until they stop at the bottom. I pull them out a quarter of a turn after you put the nut on for the final. Torque them. I do it in 3 equal sequence up to 125 for these studs, and then yeah, we'll just finish tightening everything off, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit.
That's now getting into it, get all the bolts on there, get everything started, start torquing stuff down. Gonna get all the mains lubed up real well, snug everything down with the screw gun, and like I said, there again, going through it and getting everything started, or finishing everything, getting started, and then torquey. On the mains, you end up at 125 foot-pounds, and then the girdle bolt, as they call it, they're 50 foot-pounds, and then the oil pan bolts, they're just hand tight at this point.
All right, guys, so I got the girdle all torqued down, and I just put all the oil pan bolts in there. They're not oil pan bolts, but just to make sure everything's locked down the way we want it. The grub screw bolts I'm actually not going to put in for this application. I don't think they're needed, and I just didn't want to screw around with it, so no big deal. For this one, I got talking. I had a couple guys here tonight, and I got talking, and when I was working, and forgot I had to put you got to put the front case and the rear seal, which I talked about. You have to put those on before you finish bolt this down, because you have to make sure that they're set because of the O-ring and stuff in there. So just for you guys that are doing it, make sure that you put your front and rear case on first, and then do your final torque, or do your final put down and everything there. And you know, the crankshaft, it has the rear seal on it, so there is resistance there, but everything rolls nice on the crankshaft. So everything's perfect as far as that goes, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow, and we'll do some more work on this thing. All right, give me a like and comment if you got any questions, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.